Hi there again. For a continuation on what we've started with the pond lily, we'll go into a little more detail for the kids who want to do more detail. We have these the petals that go around the pistil and the stamens, and there's the petals. And we could easily get those mixed up with the sepals, which are these big structures that surround the flower. So, like I said before, often they're green, but they are yellow in this case, and are not actually the petals, but the sepals. So these petals, though, had a little bit of orange in them. So I'm just taking a little bit of orange from my palette and giving their centers a little bit of orange. Since the yellow color you've put on here has dried, you can go ahead and add some water to each of these petals. So I'm just talking about a watercolor technique we can use. And then take some of that orange and some orange from your palette and just kind of drop some in there. Not on the stamens, which have the pollen, but on the petal part. You could just add that to your pond lily flower. That was really bright. So I could take some of that color and just kind of use it around on these other petals. Just adds a little more information there. And for those of you who want more detail, it's a fun detail to put in. And then you could, looking at your picture of your pond lily, you could add a little bit more kind of a yellowish green to the pistil. So again, when you're drawing these, you can just look at the basic shapes first. The pistil is round, then the group of stamens makes another circle, and the group of flowers or petals makes another circle, and the group of sepals makes another circle. So if you look at basic shapes like that, it's easier to get the right structure. So I just adding a little bit more detail now with the mountain lily or the pond lily. So we'll go on. For those of you who are older and in any age, we're gonna do the insect part of the pond lily. The pond and the lily. The insects that you are likely to see are dragonflies. And I'm going to, first of all, draw a green darner, because they're very common. So they're about 12 centimeters long. So I'm just going to take my ruler and measure that to give myself a guideline. And we can write up here, let's see, ponds, insects. So I'm structuring the levels a little differently this time, because it would have been hard to put both the pond lilies and the dragonflies in one section for the younger kids, but whoever wants to do these can do them, as always. So the dragonfly is the insect we'll concentrate on for a pond insect. And this one is the green darner. Very common. And his or her Latin name is Onyx junius. So yeah, they're one of the most common dragonflies in North America. Okay, because I have a lot that I'm writing, I think I'm going to go ahead and make my dragonfly a little bit lower so I have room for what I'm writing. So I'm going to again measure out 12 centimeters, starting at the 0 on my ruler down to 12, and just draw a little line as my guideline. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll start out with the 2 compound eyes. And then this dragonfly has an interesting feature of like a bullseye design between the 2 eyes in the front. So a bigger circle with a little dot in the middle is the antenna. So there's the head, basically. That's the first part, basic part of an insect, a head. Then the next part is the thorax. And the thorax is what the wings and the legs are attached to. And then there is the abdomen, and the abdomen on this insect is very long and thin. And it's segmented, and there's basically 9 segments. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They get a little smaller as you go down. And then there's these little things that kind of look like a hook at the end. It's kind of like a horseshoe kind of shape. It's a little narrower. Okay, so those are the 3 basic parts of the insect: the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. Just like it with any insect, ants, flies, bees, any kind of insect will have the 3 basic parts. Spiders are not insects, so they have a different structure. Okay, and then the wings are beautiful, and they are about the same length as the length of the body. So I'm going to make a mark out from the center to about 12 centimeters that way to give myself a guideline. The wings, like I said, attach to the thorax. And they have a little bit of curve on the top, and then they curve a little bit more down on the bottom. And they are really amazing natural structures. They can each function on their own. So if a dragonfly loses a wing, it can still hunt and survive. So I posted a picture on Canvas. If you have other pictures you want to look at, you can do that. There's also information about dragonflies in our book, Slow Down. So they're basically as an elongated like teardrop, but if you want to look carefully at the shape, you can get it even more accurate. And then, so on the bottom wing, it comes from the body, goes down, and goes around this way. All right, so there's the wings that attach to the thorax, and then, like all insects, all true insects, the dragonfly has 6 legs. And I'll just draw them since the wings are transparent. You could see them underneath, from underneath. Underneath the wings. The wings are beautiful. As I was drawing some of the detail of the wings, I was thinking maybe this is why it's called a darner butterfly, because the wings are almost like they're knit together. They have some bigger veins in them. And I won't take the time to draw all the beautiful detail. They're like lace. Or darning is a way of, kind of knitting together yarn or thread, and these kind of look like, the wings look like they're knit together. So you can look closely and add as much detail as you want, and just have fun. To me, it's fun doing all the detail. So this is the texture and the design in the wings. They're really beautiful. And sometimes they can be kind of shimmery with the colors that you see in them, depending on how they catch the light. So again, I won't draw all the detail on there because it would take longer than we have, but you go ahead and look at those pictures and see how much detail you want to include. And I would love to hear about you going out on adventures to find your own dragonflies. This is the time of year when we start seeing them. They live for about, their lifespan is about 4 to 7 weeks. They live in freshwater ponds. Lakes or slow-moving streams. They migrate in, they can migrate for like 900 miles anywhere between Canada and the Gulf of Mexico. And they have incomplete metamorphosis, which means they just have 3 stages of their metamorphosis: egg, nymph, and adult. Let's see. And they are aerialists. They can hover, dive, fly backward, fly upside down. They can fly up to 30 miles an hour, and their wings can move independently. And they can still, I think I said they can still capture prey with a missing wing. So on the head is the compound eyes, the antenna, and the this neat bullseye design. Okay. One more interesting thing about them is that they have, they can put their legs together like this is the body, head, thorax, and their legs together can form a little basket to hold food. They are very effective at hunting. They're the best insect hunters, and they are 95% successful in getting their prey. So they hunt other insects. Again, up here, write your date that you're doing this. If you can find a dragonfly that has died, and you can look at their wings and their body structure, that's That's the best thing to do. So these green darners, this particular species has a green thorax, a bright green thorax, which I'll paint in here. And then, so that's kind of wet, so I can take a dry brush, I can dry my brush off and kind of lift some of that paint up. And then the males will have a blue abdomen, and the females might have more of a brown abdomen. The eyes are a little bit of a dull green, so I'm going to mix green with some brown and just paint those eyes in. Again, there's a lot of water on my brush, so I can just kind of dab that with a dry brush. Okay, so those are the basic colors of a green darner dragonfly, and basically their wings are transparent. If you wanted to make a little bit of a gray color to show a little bit of their design, you could paint over some of it like that, depending on how it's catching the light. So I just went and did some of the detail on this one wing, but you could use your pencil. It would be really hard to paint that in, but you could if you had a really fine brush and had a lot of patience and did it on dry paper. You could paint those details in too, but you could also use a pen or your pencil and just enjoy the amazing design that these gorgeous wings make. So I think that's about it for the dragonfly. I can just paint some little wings in fast here on this little diagram, but again, this is the legs forming a food basket to hold its prey that it is hunted. So that's our second section for you guys who wanted to do more about pond life for any age, but as you get older you can do more and more detail on these. You could paint the legs if you want, paint around that bullseye, the antenna, and you could also draw some some dragonflies around your pond lily, because this is the kind of environment that they inhabit. I'll just sketch a little one down here, kind of in the same kind of relative size they would be to the flower. If the flower is about 7 to 12 centimeters across, a dragonfly is, they would be about the same size. Okay. One thing I didn't do that we could do with the pond is paint in some of the color of the water around it. This is dried from last time, but just to show that these are in water. These pond lilies can grow really thick and densely, so I think I mentioned it before that they make really good cover for water creatures like fish and turtles and frogs. So I'm just using some pretty watered down bluish green paint to paint around my dry my water lilies that have dried from the first time we worked on this, from the first part of the lesson. Okay, well, I hope you're able to go out in nature and explore ponds near you and see if you can find any of these creatures, pond lilies or dragonflies, maybe the green darter or maybe a different kind, as well as all the other animals that are around, like the ducks and herons and deer that come to the water for their drink, or maybe the other animals like bears. Okay, so I'm just painting in where I left some white to show some of the veins. Okay, you guys have a great time exploring, and we'll see you next time for our last lesson on wildflowers. Okay, bye-bye.